Gone on far too long, and we won't be silent anymore.
The Nonviolent Medicaid Army is a growing militant force of poor and working people united across all identities, all regions, races, and issues.
Do you know anyone who's been cut from Medicaid?
Me. Even though we've turned in our paperwork and even though we've been trying to fight for it and talk to people, they're just not listening. They're not cooperating.
I lost my niece, Billy Joe Walker, for making $23 over the limit for Medicaid cutoff.
My inhaler is $48 to $50. Without Medicaid, I'm not gonna make it.
Y'all denied my son, and now my child is dead.
600,000 people were cut from Medicaid under President Reagan. 2.3 million people lost their health care pre-COVID under President Trump. Now, up to 24 million people across this country are going to lose their health care, and it's not necessary. It shouldn't be this way. The Nonviolent Medicaid Army is on the move.
Together, we are organizing, getting into step, and fighting back across this country.
You see behind me Lancaster County Prison, where I spent 14 and a half months because I was poor and homeless.
I have walked through hell to get to where I am today. I have seen the worst. Now I'm ready to see the best.
My partner and my kids are both on Medicaid, and we're part of the Nonviolent Medicaid Army.
We're not just individual people going through this. We are all going through this together.
I have experienced so many horror stories with the healthcare system that I have no choice but to be out here fighting.
Yes.
Let's go down and march together.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Please stand and protest with us. Whatever you can do, just come out.
We can't out-might or out-money the healthcare profiteers, but we can out-organize them.
We're urban, we're rural, we're working class. When we get organized, the system won't last.
Poor, working class people who are struggling to make their lives better are held at the mercy of these huge corporations that are making billions of dollars profiting off of people's suffering, and I just think it's wrong.
Well, I think it's really important to recognize that we're really in the same boat. And I think we have a vested interest in joining forces.
We can't fix anything if we're constantly pointing the finger at each other and not up where it belongs.
We know that this fight isn't won in a day, it's not won in a week, in a year. We have to be organized for the long term.
And when the road gets rough and rocky, and the hills get steep and high, we will sing as we go marching, and we'll win our revolution by and by.
Don't come to me with that unwinding nonsense. This is Medicaid cutoffs. This is our building. This is our place. And don't let them tell you any different. Don't let them make you think you don't belong here. We belong here.
Who are we?
The Medicaid Army. Let's go down and march out as a foe.
All right, let's move on to our goals, and then we'll cover what we'll be looking forward to at this evening's call. The goals for this call tonight are to affirm our commitment to getting our own stories out is a critical component of our organizing. To develop our documentation skills in order to shift the narrative to build the movement to end poverty. Our goal is to build our skills in effective documentation of our stories and actions using tools like our cell phones that we already have, and to prepare for the Nonviolent Medicaid Army National Day of Action for Medicaid on September 19th. So tonight, we've covered the goals, and now the agenda, and then the community agreement, followed by framing this evening's discussion. Then technical skills, some tips on interviewing. Then we'll have breakout sessions, followed by a debrief. And finally, next steps and closing out chant.
Well, thank you, Rika, for going over our community agreements. And before that, thank you, Bruce, for going over our goals and agenda. And before that, thank you, Nijmi, for introducing our Mishtika. My name's Joe Paparone, organizer with the NVMA and the National Union of the Homeless and the Poor People's Campaign. Usually I'm in Albany, New York. Today I'm down in New York City. My wife is currently receiving treatment for stage 1 lymphoma at Sloan Kettering. So if you are the praying type or you want to send some good vibes her way, she will appreciate that greatly. Glad to be here with y'all. I'm going to go through a couple slides just introducing who we are as the Nonviolent Medicaid Army. This photo here is Joy in Pennsylvania. And if you check out our Instagram or Facebook, you'll find our Medicaid Mondays. These next few slides have some images of folks who have shared their Medicaid Mondays. That's a critical organizing tactic that we undertake to break isolation, to share our stories, and really shift the narrative about who is suffering under these draconian cuts. And it's related to our documentation that we're going to be discussing today. If you have not ever considered sharing your story before, or you would like to contribute to Medicaid Monday, please reach out and we will happily help you get that together. All right, I'm going to read these few slides. The Nonviolent Medicaid Army of the Poor is a growing, politically independent force of the poor and dispossessed, united across identities, regions, races, and issues, modeled after MLK's Nonviolent Army of the Poor from the Poor People's Campaign of 1968. Next slide. And this is a photo of Lamont from Schenectady, New York, up near me. Those who are on or excluded from Medicaid represent the diversity of the entire working class and are impacted by every single front of struggle: housing, living wages, food, education, debt, migration, and incarceration. The fight for Medicaid is common to both the North and the South. And this is Melissa in Maryland. Being on or excluded from Medicaid objectively unites a huge section of the leading social force, the group of people that has the most to gain and the least to lose from a fundamental transformation of society. So that's who we are. That's how we organize. That's who we understand to be the critical leaders of a fundamental transformative movement in society. That's who the Nonviolent Medicaid Army is. And glad you are here with us this evening to be part of it. With that, I'm going to pass it to my friend Kelly.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for that. And our hearts, our prayers, everything are with you, with Leslie. This is why we're fighting, folks, right? This is why we're organizing. This is why we're doing this. So the fight, it's for our survival. So I just wanted to say welcome again to everyone. We are really, really glad you're here. My name is Kelly. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm from New York City. This is the third installment of a 3-part series that we've done covering multiple aspects of media and how we do media. Today's session focuses on the skills that we need to document our movement and especially our day of action. Just a little quick background that I think is helpful because I know we do have some new folks on here. This is the sixth year in a row that the NVMA has done a day of action or a week of action. We should not take for granted the growth, both in formation numbers and individual numbers, the leadership development, all the things that have made this nationally coordinated day of action possible. This is really no small feat, you all. We are a movement of volunteers, and we have grown tremendously, and we have, even more importantly, organized and developed to the point where we can hold a coordinated day of action across the country. So tonight we're going to, as we've said, we're going to help equip folks with the skills they need to document the day of action. We expect everyone here, we need all of you to commit to being documentarians for this action and to share what you are learning tonight with others so that they can document these events. This documentation and creating media is a key tool of our organizing. Obviously, we've given it three national calls, and we could do probably many more. The ruling class has media down pat. The propaganda machines churn out their versions of the truth, and they ignore us altogether. It's up to us to share our stories, our truths, to make people see us. And what the ruling class doesn't know is that we can do it. Everyone here can do it. Everyone here can be a documentarian. Everyone here can help us get the message out. And especially on the day of action, to be able to capture the images, the sounds, the heart, the struggle of the things that are going on and that we are showing in our day of action. And everyone here, every single person here can do it. It is more, doing this kind of documentation is more accessible than it's really ever been. And it's important that we build this muscle so that we treat our people and our stories with the respect that they deserve. So folks know what we're doing and know what we're fighting for. We can shift the narrative and push forward our theory of change, not just from what's being said, but through all the visuals and other footage that's going to be captured on this day of action, and at our other organizing events along the way. You'll see that part of being a documentarian is also capturing things along the way. We can do our people's clinics and justice jams and Medicaid Mondays, and all these skills that we're learning tonight for the day of action on September 19th can be used for that. Are folks excited? Are folks excited that we are growing? Can I see some like emojis or things in the chat? Are you excited about doing another day of action? Are you excited to help capture the images and tell the stories and share the stories of our fight, our plight and our fight and our insight? Yeah, that's great. I'm seeing a lot of emojis and things going up there. I'm excited. I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about where we've come from and how much we've grown and how much we're continuing to grow and expand our movement every day. And this day of action is a very, very key and important way that we organize folks and that we get our messages out and we attract people to our movement. So again, yes, Helen, let's do this. Exactly right. So I'm going to turn it over. We're going to learn some great stuff tonight, and we're not alone. So people will be able to ask questions. We'll do follow-up. We're all in this together, but every single person here can do it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie so we can start learning some of those important technical skills.
Thank you, Kelly. Awesome. And thank you, Clarissa. Appreciate our tech team holding it down. As y'all may be able to see, I'm in a car, but it is stationary. So hopefully my internet doesn't crap out. And I'm really glad to be with y'all. Jamie, she, her with Put People First PA and the Nonviolent Medicaid Army media team. And I'm going to take us into roles and technical skills. So you can go to the next slide. Just a really brief overview. Some of the documentation OLEs or roles are that we're referring to, talking about, and preparing ourselves for during this training is videographer, photographer, live streamer, and interviewer or Medicaid Mondays. And so these tips that we're going to go through, the technical tips, again, they apply to all of them, but there's additional guidance for each of these roles, especially for interviews, which Jillian will cover later, or setting up a live stream, which we can share a guide for as well. So we'll go to the next slide, get into some of the technical skills, and the next slide after this. So I feel like this like vertical or horizontal, it's got the like to be or not to be vibe, that it's like, how do I shoot this footage? So there's no one right way, but what we've landed on is that for social media, so for Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook Reel, right now, the way it works best is to do vertical shooting. So that's the image on the left side of the screen, and you can see how you're holding your phone. Versus horizontal, that's likely for YouTube or Vimeo. It's a longer format video like what we watched at the beginning as the Mystica, made for use in other venues, maybe, for showing at an event, etc. It's okay to mix the two, right? Okay to shoot some things vertically, some things horizontally, but not mid-shot. The shot will remain locked in the first position you begin filming in. And that's especially detrimental if you're doing a live stream. So just make sure if you want to change the way you're shooting something, end your shot and then adjust from horizontal to vertical and start again, or vice versa. We can go to the next slide. All right, so before we click play, sorry, tech, if you just, okay, beautiful, it's not playing yet. All right, we know that the best way to learn is through our mistakes, right? I think that's true for me. I think that's what we found as organization. And a big bonus of being part of a learning organization or this mass NVMA formation is that we get to learn not just from our own mistakes, but from other people's mistakes. And therefore, we don't have to repeat those same mistakes. We can go make new ones and share those lessons. So put an emoji up if you've ever videoed something or documented something, and then you watched it back and you thought, oh, I should have done that differently. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of affirmation for that. I imagine anyone who has ever tried to video something has had this experience. So we're going to show a couple videos that are sort of those like, oops, how do we want to do things differently in the future? And so just to start off, so much enormous appreciation for the folks who did this documentation. They're leaders from United Workers in Maryland and Put People First, Pennsylvania. And they captured some really common mistakes that I know I've made plenty that we all get to learn from. So you can play this, and this we're thinking about how to frame the shot. And folks can throw in the chat what you're seeing that were some challenges here that you might want to do differently.
A couple of poems, and then I'll tell my testimony. The first is titled Power to the Poor. Power to the poor. We need to band together. We need to fight for what is right. Power to the poor. Where is your power? We need to give voice to those who cannot speak for themselves.
All right, we can go to the next slide. So I saw reflections in the chat. I saw hold that camera steady. All right, pick your position and stay there. Ambient noise, objects blocking. Yes, all great reflections. And it's harder to capture these, to be aware when you're actually taking the footage. It's so much easier to see them when you're looking back. Yeah, Zevi, too far away. So we can go the next slide. Okay, so stay steady. Get the support you need to get steady footage, whether that's a tripod or it's holding your arms close to your body so that you have more support for holding the camera steady. Get close. The closer, the better. Yes, you may want to do some wide shots, some distant shots, but if you're trying to capture someone, if you're trying to capture emotion, you want to be 3 feet away. And you don't want to rely on Zoom because that'll make the footage more glitchy. And then move slowly. So move even slower than you think you should. Yeah, great reflections from folks. We can go to the next two. So we're going to watch first another video from United Workers, and we're going to reflect on the sound. And then after, we'll watch a video of a leader, Janina, at Crowd the Capitol with Put People First PA.
Somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on far too long. I tell you it's gone on far too long. I said that it's gone on far too long. Somebody.
Hi, my name is Janina Gorman. I'm from the Central Appalachia region of Pennsylvania, from Altoona, PA, and I am here today because I believe everyone has a right to health care, and there is no such thing as luxury bones, and our dental care is necessary for our health care.
All right, so reflections on this. I saw the camera person singing, okay, not enough people, moving, background noise, ringtone, needs mic, poor acoustics. Yeah. And again, they're mistakes we've all made. So much appreciations. And you're often just working with what you got. I know with the setup at Crowd the Capitol, the Janina footage, they didn't have many options for where to set up to get these interviews. We can go the next slide. So this is just reinforcing what folks said. If you're the camera person, you don't get to sing. No singing. It's so sad, but you just don't get to. You can sing before, you can sing after, but you can't sing during. Also, refrain from verbally affirming the speaker. That's also going to get in the way. So just nod your head, show other ways that you are with them, that you're appreciating them. And then the last piece that folks were referring to also, set up in a quiet area. Scope out potential noises and do your best to avoid them. So whether that's traffic that's going to come through, whether that's an elevator or people talking in the background. And then also you can ask the speaker to repeat themselves if needed. I mean, not always. If they're in the middle of an action, probably not. But if you're doing an interview off to the side, you can pause, you can ask them to start again. All right, can you go to the next slide? Perfect, thank you. Another tip is keep the videos short. You can get the most amazing footage, but it isn't worth anything if it doesn't make it beyond your camera reel. And long videos are a real challenge to go through later. They take up a big amount of storage, which often costs money to store videos. They're hard to upload later, which can be really frustrating then. So it's best to take short videos, 1 or 2 minutes, or up to 5 minutes, or as long as a person's testimony goes. You can go to the next slide here. And then just some final reminders or some more hot tips. So be prepared for the shot. You don't want to catch the person 3 sentences into their testimony, which means you have to set up and be in position before they start talking. You also, I know it sounds simple, but again, it's a really easy mistake to make. Make sure that red button is on. Also, I'd say this is equally important as recording, is don't be afraid of getting in the way of other people to get your shot. While it's important that the 5, 10, 20 people at the action have a powerful time, your obligation, your responsibility that you've been trusted with is to get the message to dozens, to hundreds, to thousands more people who will see it online or at future events because you've documented it. So you're just going to have to get up close and get in the way of other people. And then the last one, be mindful of anyone who doesn't want to be filmed, and especially if the footage is being put on social media. All right, I know that I just used up all my time, so I'm going to pass it over to Nishmi.
That was awesome, Jamie. Thank you for taking us through that. So clear, so concise, and from your car, which is just hugely shows so much commitment. I know you're stopped, so you're not in danger, but just really appreciate you doing this even when you're traveling. So I'm gonna take us through some thoughts so we can start planning what kind of images and photos do we want to capture. It's really good to have some thoughts in mind. We'll have some of this in our documentation guide, but we're gonna go through some of it now. So yeah, we can keep going. Thank you so much. So here's a few ideas. Could I get somebody to read these and I'll explain what they are, any ones that are not obvious. Somebody
I can
to
read.
Okay, thanks, Rika.
Established shot. Wide shots of the space. Speakers. Member interactions. Children and youth activities. Meals, community building. Action shots. Closing circle. Behind the scenes. Group photo.
Thanks, Rika. Awesome. So what is an establishing shot? I think we'll see an example of it next, so we can go to the next slide. It basically situates you in space, right? So this is from the Nonviolent Medicaid Army Day of Action in Massachusetts. And this is kind of like a wide shot that shows, right? There's that big landmark right in the middle of the park. And some people here might even know what it is. You might have been there, right? And then there's that building behind you. So basically, it just shows like, for anyone who would know where that is, they'll be able to tell through this kind of establishing shot, right? That's what that means. And let's look at some other examples. So these are all really awesome examples of photos that come from the last Nonviolent Medicaid Army Day of Action in 2025, right? So what is this showing? You can put it in the chat, or you can come off of mute and just share. What do you see here?
You see somebody getting their contact information. They're talking to them, engaging with the people.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Rika. Yes. So I see petition signing, connection. Excellent. And let's remember our community agreements of move up, move back. Really appreciate hearing from everyone and encourage people who haven't spoken yet or haven't come off mute yet to speak. So this is an example of member interaction, right? Like this shows people that we are connecting, right? We are bringing people into our movement. This is a great shot. It's really good. Let's go to the next one. What do folks see here?
It looks like somebody's signing in for action.
There you go. Right. Thanks, Brahim. Yeah. Very similar, right? It's like connecting, interacting, welcoming. Let's go to the next one. All right. So what is this an example of? We just sort of went through a list. What is this an example of right here?
A group photo.
The group photo, right? Like this is like, all right, we're the folks who organized this today. And before we go, we're going to come together and we're going to get our group photo with our signs and our banners, right? And our folks. So that's beautiful. We always want to do that, right? We always want to have that. All right, let's go to the next. What do you see here? What does this make? How does this make you feel?
Support.
Support, right? When I look at this, I feel emotional, right? I can feel the emotion, right? This is like looks very much to me like people coming together in the moment that are moved, right, by what is being said and what is being shared. And they're hugging, they're embracing to show like you're not alone, right? So that's a beautiful thing to see. That's a beautiful kind of thing to capture in the course of your action. And let's keep going forward. All right, what is this one? What do you see here?
Community meal.
Community meal, right? This is another good example. There may be an element of a project of survival, right? In your day of action. You may do an action or do a rally or a teach-in or a vigil and then have some food. Don't think, oh, well, the food part, we don't really need to get any photos or video of that. No, get it, right? Because we want to show that. That's part of the action. So it's really important to have this holistic view of what our movement is, right? It is projects of survival. It is protests. It is testimonies. It is speakers. It is community care, right? We want to show all of that. So these are examples of the kinds of shots that you want to get photos wise and video, right? You can do that too. So let's keep going. So now let's talk a little bit about what you want to capture on video. And we can keep going to the next slide. Can I get somebody who hasn't read yet and who is not a speaker tonight to come off and to say this? All right, I see Joe and Joy who happen to be together. Okay, go ahead, y'all.
Go ahead.
Interview, testimonials, B-roll, speakers, workshop, performance, direct action, chanting, singing, community moments, time lapse.
Awesome. Thanks, Joy. All right. So I want to show an example here. And we won't need to play the entire thing, but let's play like about a minute. This is actually a video of a prayer, and it comes from Indiana. And I want you to notice a couple things about it. See what you can notice. So thank you for playing it, and we'll just play it for probably 30 seconds, honestly.
Able to say for many reasons, and I know I speak for many people who appreciate the work that you do and the sacrifices that you make. I'm not very good at gathering my thoughts in the morning, so I wrote my blessing, and I'm gonna read it, but I believe it will bless us all as we go. God of justice and compassion, we ask your blessing upon this convoy of voices on the move.
Perfect. Leave that shot up for a second. Now, I know the audio wasn't very good or easy to hear, but one, I just want to lift up that, capturing prayer in our actions is good. Prayers of all kinds, right? They can be interfaith prayers, they can be Muslim prayers, they can be Jewish prayers, they can be Christian prayers, they can be ecumenical prayers, right? We are welcome of all faiths and no faiths, right? But we do wage the battle for the Bible. But what do you notice about this shot? You see that someone's taking a camera from one angle, but what else do you see? Do you see anything else? So I notice here on the right-hand side, you see, I think this is Patty actually from Indiana. They're getting another shot of this person, the person who's leading the prayer. And you see how close this kind of connects to what Jamie was saying. See how close Patty is Patty's like right there in front of the person. And I'd really be curious to see that footage. I haven't seen that footage. I've only seen the footage from this angle. But Patty's at a great distance. And again, I want to emphasize that sometimes it can feel really awkward to get up that close, but it's really, really useful. And we just have to practice that, and sort of get through the awkwardness. Um, some other things to think about for video shots. Once again, right, we want to think about showing the breadth and depth of our movement, right? The different kinds of people, right? All of our differences are a strength, and we want to highlight that in our footage. We want to make sure that those images also show how our movement comes together across difference, right? Like that beautiful image we saw earlier of people embracing each other. We want to make sure that we're getting the signs and the art and the culture, right? Capture videos of the singing, capture videos of the children playing, right? Capture videos of the prayers. This is all really, really good to include. Again, don't think, okay, well, I'm just here to get the people speaking and giving testimony. Yes, but you want to show the whole picture, right? Think about that, the whole picture. And I will stop there and I will pass it on to Aletha.
Thank you, Nijmi. Thank you so much for walking us through the different types of footage that we should be thinking about capturing during our day of action and our events. And so, again, my name is Aletha with United Workers Maryland and part of the NVMA media team. And I want to talk a little bit about staging. So how do we make sure that we're getting those types of footage that Nijmi just walked us through? So what does staging mean? Because sometimes when we think about documentation, it's easy for us to think like, oh yeah, let me pick up my camera real quick, my phone real quick, and press record in the general direction, right, of what's happening. But before we even do that, before we even pick up our cameras and our phones, we should be thinking about the story that we're trying to tell and the messaging that we are trying to relay. We want to start internalizing that with every event that we're organizing, whether it's our day of action or our projects of survival or our justice jams, we are telling a story. We're making visible the ongoing attacks against our class, and we're uplifting the leadership and power of the poor as we organize and unite to build this movement to end poverty. So, our documentation carries, like Jamie's mentioned, it carries our narrative beyond just who's there. It invites other people to relate and be moved to join the movement. And an important way of ensuring that our messaging is clear and easy to understand is through staging. And so when we say staging, we're not talking about just like making something bigger than what it is or creating some, I don't know, fake Hollywood scene. But we're talking about staging the visibility of the struggle. And we all know that the struggle is real. We do not have to pretend to that we're experiencing poverty or experiencing housing issues or food issues. We are living it every single day. So our responsibility as documentarians is to make sure that when we're behind the camera, that we're clearly capturing that message and the leadership and the dignity that Kelly mentioned earlier, and the collective power of our stories. So if we go to the next slide, so like I said, messaging is really important. So before we pick up our cameras, we want to think about, what are our key points of our message? Who are we trying to reach? What do we want people to remember after they see footage from our actions and events? And so, I don't know, I guess real quick, like this picture here, this was of, I think, last year's Day of Action in Western Maryland. What are folks seeing in this picture? What's working here? What's not working? What could be better when it comes to capturing the messaging.
I'm seeing, hi everyone, Vicky here from Virginia. The sign, I mean, that is a beautiful, like, poverty is killing us. That's crystal clear. I don't even know if it looks almost fake. It's so clear, but I know it's not AI. So there you go. It's better than AI. And you see the different generations, like the young boy in the back, and, women, men, and that's really, they're definitely taking action, down the street. But to me, it's quite powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Every visual should reinforce the messaging, and the messaging should be clear. And this was done with just a cell phone. No special camera. It was just a regular cell phone that took this picture. So if we go to the next slide, we want to also think about the backdrop. So one of the simplest ways to strengthen our documentation is by paying attention to what's behind us. So if we are holding a hospital accountable, we should be able to see the hospital in the background. Or if we're protesting at a government agency, that building should be visible behind us. And we want to make sure that our banners and members that are actively participating are in that same frame whenever possible, because the background helps tell the story. And so, again, here, just real quick, what about this picture? This was a protest at UPMC in Western Maryland. Yeah, any thoughts about this image? What works or what may be better?
It's too wide of a shot. It's too wide out. You can't even really see the people's faces or their emotions, or it's too far out. They need to be a little bit closer. That would be my thought.
It looks like it could have been, oh, sorry. Didn't
No, go ahead.
But I wasn't sure if she was done. David here. I think this is, it could have been a better shot, especially like she had mentioned, if they were closer. But also just, organize the people so you can make the shot a tighter shot and it's not as long and as wide. Maybe have some people kneel if they can. Yeah.
Yeah, great feedback. Thank you.
I don't think it's clear that it's a hospital. You kind of have to know main entrance would probably only be on a hospital, but there's no like hospital sign or Red Cross or anything to indicate it being a hospital.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So yeah, we want to make sure that the backdrop is clear and tells the story that we're trying to tell. Thank y'all. So next slide. Signs and banners. So our signs and banners are a part of our organizing. We spend a lot of time doing art builds and designing them because they communicate our demands. And if they're folded or blocked or impossible to read, we lost that opportunity to do so. So we want banners centered and held at chest height, visible to both the people attending and the people who will be seeing these photos either on social media or any other platforms. And then the next slide, we want to position people intentionally. So the most important part, in my opinion, of footage is the actual people, is us. So we want speakers to be easily seen. We want members close enough together to communicate unity and collective power. We want to avoid any large empty spaces that might make participation look smaller than what it actually is. And Nijmi touched on this earlier, like that the representation of the diversity of our membership, seeing how this movement brings people together in unity across all those lines of division. And yeah, I might have a few more minutes, but real quick, maybe one person might want to comment on this picture. Does that meet this particular section, or are there things that could be improved?
I want to comment on this, and I think this is an absolutely beautiful picture, especially for any sort of media publication. The Nonviolent Medicaid Army shirt is very, very clear. The United Workers shirts with Harriet Tubman's lead is very clear. Everything is extremely clear of all of the leaders in this picture.
Yeah. Yes, and again, like this picture was done with a regular cell phone too. So just showing that we have the tools and right in our hands every day to take these type of pictures and footage. Next slide. And so here, yeah, we want to capture any type of movement too. So movement can bring a still image to life and help communicate energy and collective action in our videos. So, instead of just capturing everyone standing still, like think about moments where people are actively organizing. So like the images that we saw earlier in Nijmi part where people were getting information and doing sign-ins, or capturing chants and capturing people marching together or speaking in a microphone. These moments communicate that this isn't just a gathering. This is people. This is us taking action together. And so with that, we talked about how to stage an event for effective documentation. So I'm going to now hand it over to Jillian, who will walk us through some interviewing tips.
Thank you, Ilitha. Hey everyone, my name is Jillian. I'm tuning in from Brooklyn, New York. And as Ilitha said, I'm just going to give some quick tips on how to conduct these interviews that we will be collecting on our day of action. So we've talked about this model before, the plight, fight, and insight model. This is a great arc to use as the framework for when you're asking your questions. Plight, in this case, is how we're collecting or asking the individual for their direct personal impact of the systemic crisis that we're addressing here. So in our case, healthcare. A plight question could be something along the lines of, how are you or someone you know affected by the Medicaid cutoffs, by the SNAP cutoffs? Please tell me your story. You can think of plight as kind of collecting a Medicaid Monday. It's very similar in that regard, where we are using this moment to encourage folks to share their personal stories, how they're being impacted by this crisis. And you'll find a lot of people will talk pretty eagerly about plight. This is like a wonderful moment to encourage folks to share their personal stories, and a lot of people will jump at that opportunity. Fight, our next phase of the framework. Fight is kind of the what, the how. What are you doing as a member of the Nonviolent Medicaid Army to address the healthcare crisis? What's been your experience as an organizer? What can we do to work together to address this crisis? Questions along those lines. And then finally, insight. This is kind of the bigger picture, the why. We use insight to kind of get an overview of the cause needed to respond to this crisis. Why are so many people like us in this situation? Why is the fight for healthcare important to you? What needs to change? So to successfully collect interviews on our respective day of action, you want to, ahead of time, identify and ask 3 speakers or leaders or organizers if they're comfortable being interviewed. You want to do this ahead of time because it's going to be a lot harder to kind of grab folks on the day of action because there will be so much going on. So be sure to identify your people beforehand, and send them reminders leading up to the day of action. Remind them on the day that you will, at some point during the event, pull them aside to do a brief interview. You want to do the interview, in our case, after the action is completed. around that time where folks are maybe cleaning up, debriefing how the event went. And this is your opportunity to tap the people you've identified as interviewees, and gently pull them away from whatever they're doing, whether it's a conversation, whether it's cleanup. Sometimes this is like an awkward part, is reaching out and initiating the interview. But these interviews are crucial for our media documentation for this day of action. And it's an important contribution. We have to get it done. And also note that it can be quick. It can be about 3 minutes, 5 minutes or so. Nothing beyond that, maybe, because we will all be getting through multiple people on the day. But once you have found your person that you're interviewing, you want to make sure you're pulling them away to a quiet location, somewhere that's farther away from the noise. Because again, as we've touched upon before, it's really important to capture the clearest sound possible. And you're going to be able to accomplish that by being aware of your environment. And also, when you have your camera, being as close up to your subject as possible, as is comfortable. Because the closer you are with your camera, the clearer that audio will be, and the better the interview. So a longer list here of possible questions that you can use on your day of action. I always like to initiate my interviews with just a very basic, tell me your name, where you live, the region you're from, the organization you're affiliated with, just something to paint a picture about the individual that you're talking to. Some other questions that go a little deeper into the discussion. How did you come to be involved with the Nonviolent Medicaid Army? What is the purpose of today's action? Can you tell me about your personal experiences with the healthcare system? Do you know anyone who's been cut off from Medicaid? Can you tell me about their story? How would your life be different if healthcare was a human right? Why don't we have guaranteed Medicaid for all? And what do you think we have to do to make healthcare a human right? And those last few questions are great for insight. That's a good way to kind of wrap your interview up with those bigger picture ideas. And some just general rules of thumb. The best questions will begin with things like who, what, where, when, why, and how. You want to avoid asking questions that are too long. The questions should be short, but also not just one word. Just keeping it open-ended so that your subject, the person you're interviewing, has the space to share their story and elaborate as they see comfortable. Again, it helps to write these questions down ahead of time too. Things get so chaotic in the moment. It's very easy to forget to hit all of these marks as you're interviewing someone in person. Also, when you're talking to the person you're interviewing, body language is really important. You want to be a sort of warm and welcoming presence. Sometimes it's intimidating to be interviewed. When you're on the other side of that camera, it is a lot, and it can feel kind of impersonal. So, smile, nod, but don't speak while your subject is responding to your questions, because again, you don't want to interfere with the sound that's being collected. If it's possible, maintain eye contact. Just be friendly and open, and just make sure that the person you're interviewing is feeling comfortable, because it is a very vulnerable position to be in. Again, these interviews should be on the shorter side, 3 minutes or so. So as you're collecting this media, this footage, keep an eye on the clock. You want to be able to get through the 3 individuals that you've identified for your interviews. And if you find that things are kind of veering off the rails or off topic, just keep the plight, fight, insight model in mind. And if you write these questions down ahead of time, it'll really help you stay on track and get the most effective interview possible. So I think that's it from me. And from here, I believe we're going into breakout rooms.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jillian. Yeah, we're about to go into breakouts. There's going to be a notes document put into the chat, as well as there's a notes document. And then there's a few questions you'll discuss in your...
Welcome back. Welcome back from the breakout rooms, everyone. I hope folks had a great discussion planning for their respective day actions and maybe even getting into the weeds with some more media-specific documentation tips as our group did. But now we are going into our next steps. So first and foremost, if this is your first NVMA call, please get connected with us. There is a mailing list that we can send you updates on upcoming meetings. The next Saturday School of Struggle is August 8th. We will be covering prepping for the National Day of Action, mobilizing for Medicaid. The next national call is August 27th. The links to register for everything will be in the chat for everyone here. Please keep sharing your story. Please keep sharing Medicaid Mondays. You can do so with the link that's been dropped in the chat. It leads you to a form where you can share whatever story you've got. We can get some help with SNAP work requirements. Again, there's another link there that goes through a toolkit. And please keep spreading the word on social media about the Nonviolent Medicaid Army. We have pages on Facebook, on Instagram, we have a TikTok, and a YouTube account, in addition to, I think, state-specific Instagram pages as well. So please keep a lookout for those pages. And in closing, I just want to make some time to thank all of the people who are on tech, Clarissa, all of the facilitators, Joe, Nijimi, Kelly, Jamie, Ailitha, Rika, everyone who shared their tips on documentation work and how to make these media pieces as successful as possible. Thank you so much for sharing your advice and your tips. Even I learned a bunch more today on this call. It's just really exciting. Thank you to the coordinators who helped organize this national call, and thank you to the base building team. So just to close us out, as we are all so used to doing, we're going to do our usual Nonviolent Medicaid Army chant. We'll do it twice. I will start us off, and I hope that everyone on this call will come off mute and join me. So, who are we?
The
Medicaid
Medicaid
Army!
Army.
One more time, who are we?
The
Medicaid
Army.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here. I hope you
Good night,
learned as much as I
everybody.
did. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Harrison, them jump off here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
'Cause I
peace.
know